Welcome to Grow with the Gods. Thank you very much for tuning in. We are talking with Saundra Mondragon about the way she lives her life, how she embodies her spirituality, some of the things that she's got going on in her life, and some of the events, the projects, the focuses that she's looking to bring to bear upon the earth. With that, I'd like to say thank you for driving down to Faywood.
It was awesome. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm glad. I'm really glad you made it down. Let's go ahead and start. What's your favorite incense?
Dragon's blood.
Dragon's blood. I love the smell of dragon's blood.
I love it with a little nettle on top. That makes it even better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Oh, it's awesome. It makes the protection that much more prickly.
Nice tip. Starting right out of the batter's box with something good. I like that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dragon's blood, and you're using it for protection? What is your intent when you're doing that?
I use it when I feel like I need to be protected, especially with the nettle.
Okay.
Especially with the nettle. Let's just say I have some psychic flack going on around me and I need to really nip that in the bud.
Yeah.
I also am involved with two deities that prefer nettle's blood for certain things. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Very cool. Do you prepare it specially, or do you use the raw flower, fruit?
Well, I use charcoal disc incense burner. I
Okay.
use dragon's blood resin. And then if
Okay.
I'm using nettle, I'll sprinkle some nettle leaves on top.
Tell me a little bit about how you see your spirituality manifesting in your daily life.
It's kind of like having to live it. Like
Yeah.
every moment is spiritual. My early years, I studied Eastern philosophy, and so I practiced walking meditation. So basically just being in tune and mindful throughout all aspects of your day. So my
Right.
spirituality isn't regulated to a certain place. I'm fortunate enough to have the kind of life that I don't necessarily have to draw this clear line between the mundane and the non-mundane. So I'm always listening for mental or body cues from the spirits or nudges in this direction or that direction. I'm always able to do what I'm told to do in the moment.
Cool. They like that.
Right? It's like, don't put it off because you're going to lose the moment and you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess that, on to the next thing.
We are given opportunities. And it's a matter of lighting that fuse when you have that opportunity.
Right.
Because you're not always going to have a reach to that fuse. And that's part of why they whack us.
Right.
And the ability to react immediately is it's almost privileged, because you don't really get that a lot. How do you maintain that connection with the things that are telling you what to do?
There's a lot of practice in my early years just with being able to be in meditative states, increase my psychic abilities, this extrasensory perception so that you know what means what and so on and so forth. And then just being able to be really present and not full of your own thoughts and your own egoic ambitions so that, it's the whole empty cup, empty your vessel so that you could be filled by the Spirit. I was really fortunate that I started that young. And when I was really young, I had a lot of ambition to practice, do things daily. Now that I'm older, I've kind of I don't practice as much as I think I should. But then a lot of times when I do practice, it's really kind of difficult to stay here.
Yeah.
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 Always kind of looking for the cues, if I get some chills here or if I get an idea that just kind of pops into my head out of nowhere. Or let's say I'm scrolling something and then all of a sudden I'm getting messages through the pictures and the things that the algorithms are feeding me. I'll be like, oh, this is what I was just talking about and thinking about. Oh, or, there'll be another piece of the puzzle. My whole life is an oracle. My whole life is about being connected to spirit all the time.
Right.
I mean, I don't necessarily go in with specific daily practices every day. I've been a little hesitant to, because when I do that, the psychic phenomena goes off the charts for me. I signed up for a few things.
Okay.
And I'm still kind of choppy with it. I do have some mundane things going on in my regular life that prevent me from having a regular schedule.
Okay.
And so sometimes I'm up all night, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I'm sleeping all day, sometimes I'm sleeping early. And so I really can't get a regular schedule. I do try and at least service my altars.
Okay.
Sometimes I slack off. But when somebody gets too grumpy about it, they like yell at me when I walk by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to take care of that as soon as I can.
They only allow themselves to be neglected for so long.
Right.
Being able to be open to that, though, is an amazing opportunity. Cultivation of the communication between your body. My personal experience is that the lack of communication between our mind and body, or our consciousness and body, when we allow that to exist, is when we are the most magical. Because our body will tell us everything we need to know about ourselves.
Oh, it will.
If you're willing to listen and you're willing to not gaslight yourself.
Oh, no, that was nothing. I'm just going to ignore it. Oh, that's not supposed to be a real thing. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's a real problem. We work as spiritual beings. We recognize the demands of the physical world that accompany those demands as spiritual beings that we have to maintain. We turn off our spiritual being by mistake, trying to maintain that physical when that channel needs to remain wide open.
Wide open, yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For people who are new to the craft and a path or something like this, what kind of things would you suggest? What worked for you?
I mean, I was raised Catholic. So at our masses, it was like, you walk in, you put the holy water on the cross, and you're in prayer. I was the kind of kid that took that kind of very seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't, blow it off or, because I wasn't like born into it. Like I was introduced to Catholicism when I was 6 years old. And I made a conscious decision at 7 to get baptized and dedicate myself to God. My favorite, I went to Catholic school for first, second, and third grade, and my favorite subject was religion. We got to sit in the circle. We passed around this really lovely velvet heart with a little rainbow across it. And so when we got to hold it, it was our turn to talk, and I just thought that was the best. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I never really saw, like, some people seem to have this idea that, like, God's like some man with a long white beard living up in the clouds. But I knew that God was everywhere, or creator, whatever you want to call it, creatrix.
Right.
He's everywhere and in everything. And I just thought that everybody understood God the same way I did.
Okay.
So then,
we make that mistake when we're young.
Right. So then I learned how to meditate in church. I was taught how to pray the rosary, and the rosary is actually very complicated when you get into specific. You have the rote prayers that are taking up your first attention, and then you have a meditation that you're supposed to be meditating on in your heart space. And so I had the practice with that young. Then I found Eastern spirituality and philosophy, and so then I started utilizing those techniques, the meditation, the breathing. I had read some books on how to develop your psychic abilities, and so they were always about, you got to really draw everything into the body. You do the mindfulness meditations where your thoughts are a rushing river and you're trying to transform it into a still pond. And you don't get angry that you're thinking crazy shit when you're supposed to be, empty mind meditating.
Yeah.
And so when I was 12, I actually found this really weird book on my mom's bookshelf. I don't know where she got it, but it was like a workbook from the 60s or 70s or something, but it was about the divine feminine, actually.
Oh, cool.
And how to develop that connection. And it had like this whole system and affirmations already laid out. And so what I did was I copied the affirmations, stuck them on my wall over my bed, and every night before I went to bed, I connected with those affirmations. I said them out loud. I did them really slow, because that's the important thing. A lot of people don't realize you can't just talk. You can't just talk your spell or talk your affirmation is not going to work. You actually have to feel it. It has to be vibrating off you. So I went really slow to make sure I felt what each word felt like in my being.
That's awesome.
I did that for a while. I mean, my mom handed me self-hypnosis tape to learn how to use when I was young as well. So I learned how to do the self-hypnosis and went hand in hand with the affirmation work. So that's how I started with everything. And then early 20s, that's when I found some other information from a new set of books I happened to come across, and it was talking about walking meditation. And you don't have to just keep your meditation to a certain time and place. You can be in a meditative state while going about your mundane life.
I will admit to meditating while driving.
I'll trance out.
During rush hour? Yeah,
Right.
I've tranced out. Because what else am I going to do?
Right.
I need to stay grounded. It's those practices that set our foundations
Right.
that you made a statement earlier that you feel that you don't do enough. I have a feeling that there's so much built in and ingrained
Right.
that you don't even think about doing by now.
Right.
So it's not that you don't do enough, it's that you've made it subconscious.
I agree. I still kind of want to
Yeah.
keep going with it.
Right,
But
absolutely. I'm not saying people who are on this path are not here to not grow. We all want a forward momentum. When you connect to things that are greater than you, you never stop expanding. I mean, that's kind of how I take it.
I agree.
It's not so much that you're not doing as much as you used to, it's that you don't even think about what you do now.
Right. For most of it, you're right.
I'm very much about helping people see brighter sides of themselves and perceive things in a better light, because it's not a negative thing. It's you've grokked it. You've assimilated it. You've made it a part of you. And so now, and it goes back to that living your spirituality thing.
Yes.
When I go out into the woods behind the house, I ground out automatically. The first thing I'm doing is listen for the birds, listening to the wind, listening to everything around me so I can feel and connect what's there.
Right.
And it's not even a conscious thing anymore. It's just this is my world. If you could, explain to me how you see the world is working.
So I see everything as a hollow fractal matrix reality.
Okay.
So it's holographic in nature.
Yeah.
That's what quantum physics is basically talking about. We have the fractal nature. So all the parts of the big are in all the small. And I've also investigated electric universe theory
Okay.
by Nassim Haramein, I think is how you say it. It's really interesting because instead of perceiving all of the things around us as like plasma based, it's electrical based.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Right, me too.
That's my view of magic.
Exactly.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's electricity is the easiest way to convey. Okay. Please
Right,
continue.
so there's a spark and there's magnetic poles and then there's electric bursts that make things happen. And so I just see that we do this little dance. And so whatever kind of configuration our energy fields are in is going to attract certain things or repel certain things from us.
Right.
Whether it's something you're actively consciously trying to manifest or something that has been in denial in your shadow aspect that, eventually needs to get reflected back at you. It's all reflecting off of all of these different faceted surfaces in different ways. And then you can smooth out your energy to have different, better interactions, that
Right. So you're not as jagged.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so then that also goes through the collective as well. We're moving through time, space, and we have these giant bodies of the planets around us, and astrology is a thing.
Yeah.
Because it's if we're talking about Gaia as being a physical manifestation of a deity,
right,
then all of these planets are giant deities,
yes.
and their placement and how their gravity and the electromagnetics play. So it's like a giant dance. And so that's how I see the world.
Okay. See, and that makes a lot of sense to me. A lot of the things that you said, including if Gaia is a goddess that is the entire planet, the other planets have similar intelligent beings.
Well, right. That's why they're named after gods.
Right. And they influence us through their gravity, through their pull.
Right. Their very mass, their very existence.
Yeah. Their very existence pushes us.
Yes.
And pulls us.
Yes.
And controls us.
Kind of, yeah.
Gemini, or Mercury in retrograde. Great example.
Right. Dude, so I was never into astrology.
Okay.
For the longest time. I didn't think one way or the other about it,
Yeah.
I might only been exposed to like stupid sun sign horoscopes, in the newspaper.
Right.
But I started to notice a pattern of shit going whack in my life. Like my perception and my consciousness would just and then all my interactions would be weird, scary things I didn't want to experience, things I couldn't stop from happening, no matter how aware I was that this thing was happening again.
Oh, wow.
And I had narrowed it down to it being like every 4 or 5 months. And it would be different every time, but a lot of times it was the same.
Right.
And the first time I ever read about Mercury retrograde, I'm like, what?
That explains so much.
And then I started like really paying attention.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there was no way that this was like psychosomatically implanted in my head, before, because I noticed the pattern before I even knew what it was.
Right.
And being a Virgo sun, Virgo moon.
Oh, wow.
I am heavily influenced by Mercury, and I've noticed the things that happen to me regarding it. I mean, I learned a lot from the process of just keeping track of the astrology. I mean, there was times that I would even like not look at the astrology just to see how I would handle it.
Right.
Without knowing beforehand, and I would go back and look at, oh, that matched up with what I was going through. Okay.
Wow.
Real sciencey over here,
Well, I mean, and science is about patterns.
Science was born of magic.
Right.
Right?
So, because they wanted to explain the magic, so they started doing science to figure it out. And, magic is science, because science is magic, because that's what we call it before we figure it out as science. We are a reading bunch of fools.
Okay.
We love a good book. And those books shape our paths and how we perceive the world and our spirituality most especially. Who are your favorite authors, and what books do you feel have influenced your journey the most?
I was not introduced to paganism until late in life.
Okay.
Totally new age metaphysics, crossing over esoteric occult.
Okay.
With things, I understood some things were to be more pagan-y than others, and never had encountered any sort of like tradition in paganism until late in life. So my authors might be really interesting, different.
Absolutely.
So when I was younger, Richard Bach.
Okay.
Richard Bach, I read his books. They impacted me young, notably One and Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yeah. And then let's see, Shirley MacLaine's book when I was young about, that's where I was like, oh yeah, I can improve my psychic abilities. Let's get on this right now.
That book helps so many people.
Right?
Well, there was so much validation in it for so many of us.
I was like, oh my gosh, and she's a celebrity, and she wrote this cool book, and she's telling me that I can improve my stuff. Yeah. More recently, Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
The Power of Now and New Earth. The New Earth was really super impactful because he comes about it like, I'm not into dogma. And I find that even a lot of the pagan stuff is too dogmatic for my taste. He came at it from like no dogma, no tradition, and his experience and the things that he draws from in his connection to spirit and his wisdom is just so powerful, I feel. Right. He's really slow with how he talks. He makes sure he knows what he's talking about before he opens his mouth.
That helps.
I don't remember which book it was, but preface had like this whole story of what changed him from this regular academic guy with a regular ego, blind to everything, and then how he got sucked into the void and stripped of his ego and ended up living on on a park bench for 2 years, like basically just in love with life and miraculous joy and wonder over the butterflies that were flying around. And I'm like, yeah, this is my guy.
I can relate to this man.
I've kind of been hesitant to read too much more. I've skipped around in a book called The Sophia Code.
Okay.
But there was, it's like heavily influenced by modern Christian relationships.
Okay.
But at the same time, I realized that modern Christianity is not what Christianity was about back in the day. If you're going back to, Rosicrucianism and the Cathars and all of that deep esoteric occult stuff. And I had actually, by the time that book was handed to me, I had actually moved through a lot of the information that was presented. But it did like really solidify for me actually that, the goddess is rising in us as a collective. Mother's coming home. And so it was like, yes. So I have it on my bookshelf. Didn't read the whole thing. Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. I have his book, Becoming Supernatural.
Okay.
And I haven't read that either. But it's the next one. If
Okay.
I do read a book, that's the next one. I've read all of the excerpts and all the things online. I know the whole concept of what Becoming Supernatural is about. I've read stories of people that have used his recommendations for practices so that you can actually heal your body from within. Mm-hmm. I've been on a sort of interesting healing journey with my own life. And so I kind of wanted to see how far I could go on my own before I took instruction. Sometimes I'm like that.
Yeah. There is something to be said about doing things the hard way.
Right. It's like, well, don't do this and don't do that. No, yeah, it makes the victory that much sweeter, when you know that you weren't led by the hand, but you braved it, There's hands everywhere for when you need it, and I'm, when I need a hand, I will reach out, and a hand will magically appear.
Good. Good. And so many people, once they start a journey alone, they try to force it to stay alone, and they don't understand that even during a journey when you're alone, you need help throughout it.
Yeah, you do. You don't necessarily need to take the course and stick to the course material. You can it's like a buffet out here, and there's just so much available, So those are my books. I don't really read books anymore.
Video, movies, TV shows. Are there things that you find influential or have influenced you in the past?
Something that kind of stuck with me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That, if I were to watch the movie now, I might not feel the same way about it, but it was The Princess and the Goblin.
Okay.
And she was always following that golden thread. It would lead her through all these experiences. And so that's what I do. Okay. I follow the golden thread, where it starts to get mystical and magical, imagination. No, you lean in and you follow that thread to the next part of what you're going to be experiencing.
It really does come down to just not gaslighting yourself.
It took me so long because it's just been recently that I've finally been like, okay, yeah, I'm that. Yeah, I'm that. And I see that and I can do that. I would always be all like, no, not me. I can't do that. Oh, you're nothing. Don't say those things.
Right,
you can do that. If you're called to do that, then do it.
Exactly.
And it could be something that you don't even understand, that seems absolutely crazy. But in hindsight, I've noticed, oh my gosh, well, hello, life on Earth is on a need-to-know basis. You're not going to get the whole, CIA report of all this undercover astral recon work we're doing. You get the information that you need in the moment and nothing more. Right. And you do your thing.
Part of that has to do with the fact that the scope of understanding all the rest is just way bigger than our puny little human minds can handle.
That's it. And our brains are shrinking.
Isn't that weird?
Right.
Is there an individual teacher or group that you have learned from specifically?
It's bits and pieces from everything, everyone. I generally allow for Spirit to make those choices for me. So sometimes I might be dragged to something.
Okay.
that's pertinent in the moment. You know, someone else will be like, oh, hey, you have to come with me, and I will allow that.
Yeah.
Or I will just like feel a tug to reach out to someone and form a friendship, and it turns out, you know, that they're going to end up teaching me a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know, you know?
I love how we connected. We connected over the meetup, and we just kind of went, zap, there's a connection.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep. I'm more of a hack witch. I wouldn't consider myself, you know, using chaos magic or anything like that, but things form from the void, and it's kind of chaotic, and you know, as it comes into the light, it kind of zeroes in and beams to whatever's necessary in the moment for whatever is supposed to be being shown to me. So whatever my heart says to do, I do it.
Our lives really do go a lot better when we do that.
Right. Because like I have tried to follow a course of study or so on and so forth. If my heart's not singing for it, it just causes more frustration. I end up talking bad about myself in my head, and that's no good, you know. There's no reason. It's not for me because my body is not responding saying that this is for you. It's saying this is not for you. Come on, let's go over here.
Exactly. And the more you try to force yourself to do something that's not for you, the more that you get the ickies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Feels heavy. It starts getting twisted and distorted.
And your chest starts feeling a little expanded and tight at the same time. And it's like, okay, this is not what I really want to be doing.
Right.
Okay, let's move on. And then we won't even go into the whole shaking fits from anxiety.
Right.
So
that means you've gone way far beyond into the wrong path when you start. Yeah, I know all about that too.
Yeah. I didn't understand what that was for a long time. And then I realized it was just me effing up. Plain and simple. You're doing the wrong thing. Oh, okay. What is the thing that takes the most explaining for people to understand about your beliefs and practices?
I don't talk about them with people, so I don't have to explain anything.
That makes it a lot simpler.
There's no reason to. But I'm in a unique situation that affords me a lot of freedom. I don't have a big family around me going, why aren't you going to church with us?
Right.
You know, my mother, she was very open to everything. She's the one that handed me Edgar Cayce UFO books. She handed me the Richard Bach books. She even got me, those Carol books on indigo children and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So she was already open to a lot of that stuff, and she just needed my help to consume the information and then kind of regurgitate it back to her so that she wouldn't feel like she was going against her Catholic beliefs.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of the New Age metaphysics that cross over with Christianity, and I thought that altars were metaphorical for the longest time. I could not wrap my mind around the fact that a deity could actually come land on your altar. I freaked out when that first happened. I was like, what is going on here? What just happened? Oh, now I have to take care of you. Okay. I thought it was just all psychological metaphor, which it is.
Yeah.
But
it's real too.
And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. I better go buy some food and candles.
Right. I need oats. I have a pan altar to keep. I need oats. I need apples. I need these things that his spirit consumes. We have a Dionysus altar. He gets given wine. He gets grapes. He gets other things that are blessings and thanks to the god.
Right.
I mean, that's just how that works.
Right. I have noticed, I will say, and this is why I was saying that I believe or I feel that I could do more. When I'm able to actually open the space in my heart to spiritual communion with my deities, they prefer that a lot more than having to subsist off of the food you bring them. And the act of bringing them the food is trying to get you so you can focus and concentrate on them and give them your energy. And they do. They enjoy it a lot. Like, if I just go, okay, I don't even have to be in front of the altar. I'll just be sitting wherever I'm sitting. And then, oh, you want attention. Okay, well, let me sit here and try and open up my heart, and I'll think about you, and I'll praise you in my mind, and, you know, stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I can live now.
And really, that's exactly it. The actual concept of making an offering boils down to putting yourself into a sacred headspace that you are devoting these moments to your deity. Doing those physical things of gathering the oats or getting the flowers or whatever it is you're doing, lighting the incense. It's those mental cues to open up and allow them to communicate by you putting yourself in that headspace that goes, I am here for you. While, yes, they do occasionally like using the sledgehammer attack, most of them prefer to enter willing subjects. Channeling it's a sport for them. But you don't always know what you're going to get. But yeah, and it's that aligning yourself with that intent, and opening yourself up to that mindset. And it's almost like, I'd almost equate it to putting yourself into delta waves intentionally when you're in the shower. Mm-hmm. When I wake up in the morning, I will intentionally not let myself come out of delta. Mm-hmm. I'll do everything I can to make sure that I come out of it slowly, so I can be in a nicely meditative state without meditating, because all I'm doing is being connected.
Right. Well, that's all the meditation's training you to do, is how to manage your brainwaves.
Right.
We're going to talk about it like that. Yeah. Managing your own brainwave state.
And it's that self-control that helps you find direction and get control. For me. That's what I ended up doing. I connected with nature and the ideas of the native gods for the North America, the indigenous gods. Oh, yes. Journey for me really started when I got sober. And I got sober when I was 23. And for me, it was a matter of learning how to go to sleep without being effed up. Learning how to let my mind not be constantly drunk, not be constantly high, to learn how to think in a more fair manner. That was me when I was that age. And I changed my entire life by moving past that, by using meditation and by connecting to myself. And I started down a road that I learned about the existence of chakras because I had opened them. Right. I had been doing the things and knew things were happening. And then I started doing visualizations, and then the world really opened up. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of how I morphed into the path I'm on. So, and it was through that desire, once again, to grow and to heal. Mm-hmm. And to fix something about myself that I saw as needing changed for my success and for me to keep living. So, but that's how I ended up on mine. So you were talking about altars. What are some of the physical and or mental ways you honor your gods and or the spirits you work with?
They need food. Not all the time, but sometimes. One of them needs water, a lot of water. I burn candles. I'm not really good at it, but they all want to be dusted all the time. And I'm like, I do not have time for this. If I lived outside, I wouldn't have to dust. I live inside. They love it when I actually sit and fuss over and make sure everything's clean and go get in every nook and cranny. So that's like a special thing I do on occasion. You know, that's just general altar maintenance, and it's different for the different things.
Do you do rituals?
I can hold a space for only so long before I have to go tend to it. Like if you're talking about, I don't do any specific rituals to consecrate anything. Mm-hmm. There are certain items that I have dedicated to certain deities that only their food goes on this or that. But then there's times where my life is chaos. And I know I need to serve them, but let's see, the thing isn't clean and I don't have time to clean it. And so I'm just going up in the cupboard going, oh, Mama, I hope this is okay. Is this okay? Okay, it feels okay. I'm going to use this. So that's what I'm doing. It's kind of like a constant dialogue and heart-head communication space.
Yeah.
Used to, before we moved here, have more ritual involved with my daily tending of the altar, but for some reason that's kind of like slacked off. Now I've worked with Hekate or Hekate, depending on how you want to say it, for a long time. I didn't choose her.
She doesn't give people choices.
She's
the goddess of choices, but she doesn't give people choices.
And so this was at the beginning of me, of course, saving paganism for last in my learning journey. It's like, well, why haven't you? I don't know. I just wasn't called to. I was called here and there and everywhere, but here I am now. So, hey.
Right.
I knew that she was really close to me and that she was doing things. My psychic intuition with her wasn't very clear yet. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really pay too much mind to creating a space for her at all. I knew that she talked to me. I knew that. So anyway, it wasn't until after Santa Muerte, she literally touched me. I was freaked out. I didn't know what was happening. I was talking to a friend on the chat that was having, some stuff going on, and I was helping her.
Yeah.
And I literally, she touched me inside my body. It was like, and at the same time, this giant cartoon emoji skull came down on my psychic screen in my head. And I'm like, are you serious? No. Oh, and I'm like, friend, I think she wants you. She's touching me. I'm talking to you. She wants you. She's like, no, she wants you. And I'm like, no, you. She's like, no, you. She wanted both of us. Anyway, so that was really interesting because I had never had a deity come in that strong where I felt her presence, and it opened my heart up really big, really fast, and I went kind of crazy. I had to displace my normal mundane mind to connect with her. And so all of a sudden I ended up with Santa Muerte living in one of my Halloween decorations, and I couldn't get her out of it. And so then I was going to the store to get a proper statue and things. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, here. And she's in both things now. And that's when I realized that deity could really go into an object and land on an altar, and I was freaking out, and I didn't know how to tell my husband what was going on, and we were kind of fighting at the time.
Oh, man.
And so, I set up this little altar, I put it by my bedstand, but we were fighting, and so he would come home from work, and he would go to the bedroom, and on the third day, he's all like, what is that creepy thing? It is watching me. I'm like, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't tell you.
Our poor spouses.
I didn't tell you, but this thing happened, and we were fighting, and I offer her cigarettes over my shoulder because she kind of hangs out here in my psychic field. She hangs out over my right shoulder, so when I'm smoking a cigarette, if I remember, I'll feed her some cigarettes. She'll get some coffee on occasion. I didn't have to do any ritual. I just kind of had to go crazy for my own self and allow this other thing to instruct what my body was doing. So when I realized that these things could actually land on altars like that, I decided that I was going to research Hekate and what I should do because, and this is another little side story. Okay, so few months earlier, it was because Santa Muerte touched me in December of 2019.
Okay.
And in November, the month before of 2019, I was invited by my good friend who was my witch mentor in Colorado to assist her in making the altar for the Dark Goddess Festival at the Mercury Cafe that was held every year. It's a really nice place, banquet hall sort of thing. It was beautiful. So anyway, because I was the psytrance altar girl, she was like, help me. Do you have ideas? I just felt like I should contact you and say, hey, you want to build this thing with me? I'm like, yes, let's do it. I didn't even have to think about it very long. And I was like, I got an idea. This is what we're going to do. We purchased a garden statue of Mary. And I used black spray paint. And I coated her in black.
All right.
And then I went to the craft supply store, and we got black veiling, and I found a little crown that would be perfect on her head, and I bought some little flowers. I got some black and gold flowers on this silver kind of crown.
Yeah.
But we inverted the crown so that it came down like this, and we decked her out with some purple Halloween lights. And that's what we used for the altar at the Dark Goddess Festival.
Sounds amazing.
So then it was great. So that's another story about goddesses landing. Oh, Guy invoked the 82 names of the goddess, and she was there.
Oh boy.
And it was awesome.
I got the chili wiggers when you said that.
Riding such a high, that whole thing. Okay, so anyway, when it was all over, we packed up to leave. I ended up bringing the statue home with me, and it hadn't had anything done to it or nothing.
Right.
And it's just sitting in my house. And I kind of took it apart, because I had never had like a deity altar ever. I would have like working altars where I'd bring things in and then put them away.
Right.
Use it for a time. So anyway, I'm calling up my friend. I'm like, yo, hey, do you have room at your house for this statue? Because I don't want to just keep it here. Yeah. She's like, nah, it doesn't belong with me right now. I think you should keep it.
Somebody got set up.
So after the whole Santa Muerte thing happened, I believe it was probably January or February of the next year, I decided to research, well, how do you, invoke Hekate, and what do you got to do? And then I was like, are you serious? And she basically wants you to give her everything, and you have to sing and dance and say her praises. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I looked up all this stuff, and it's just all this Greek gibberish. And I'm like, I am not doing that because Greek's not my language. And so what I ended up doing was I took everything that I was going to use on our altar. I made sure to salt water clean all of it.
Okay.
And then I arranged it all. And then I had found a chant song sort of thing on YouTube. And I put it on YouTube loop.
Okay.
And I made sure nobody was in the house and this is happening. Kid was asleep. Husband was asleep. Nobody was going to be interrupting me.
Right.
And I put on the music and I sang and danced and sang and danced. And I went around in circles and I threw myself into it. I really didn't have any expectations because I'm like, you're psycho. This is not going to work. But I threw myself into it anyway. And, because she had been with me for so long, for 5 years by then. And I had never given her an offering, period, not once. So I'm like, okay, so I'm singing and I'm dancing, and it was very noticeable when she landed on the altar. And it was everything that they say that she feels like. And I was like, why am I surrounded by dark, creepy things? But it was so beautiful and so amazing. And just to know that I did something right for once.
Right. Exactly.
And she was there, and I was like, okay, what do I do now?
What's next now that I succeeded? I wasn't expecting to succeed.
Right. But yeah, it's been a really interesting sort of journey. She does move back. She's not very demanding of everyday stuff like Santa Muerte is.
Okay.
She'll step back. She'll let other deities come in and move through and then move on out. But she's always there waiting in the wings.
I am in a very odd position for myself. I've been a priest of Pan, helping maintain an altar to Pan since 2002. And since we moved to Feywood, I have not been expected to maintain an altar to him. I have one for him now. An area is set for his space, and he has literally the Pan's Plaza, the area where the fire pit is, and a lot of the other shrines. He is literally, his shrine is the horns on the top of it, and it looks like his head. So, I mean, he's got his space. For me, his emphasis is on me making sure that the other shrines manifest, because in this aspect, he is focused as the all.
Okay.
Yes, he has an altar. Yes, he knows that this is his place. He doesn't have to be first and foremost. He already is.
He made you move here and
right,
do all
right.
these other things.
He put us here, and he's the reason why everybody else is getting an altar. I don't have the compulsions with his anymore, even the compulsions to visit. I mean, I still go to his shrine, and I spend time in his shrine, but when I didn't have it in my backyard, it was a much stronger compulsion to get to where his shrine was. And now that it's there, it's a constant conversation.
Oh, I understand.
Slowly building those with some of the other shrines that are on the land, like Gaia is very quiet. Mm-hmm. She's very peaceful, and it's almost murmurs and whispers. And she's happy because she has her space, and she has a place where people can come visit her, and that's what she cares about. Mm-hmm. Where people can come show their love.
Right.
That's the way the altars are manifesting for me, and the outdoor ones. The inside ones, that's Hekate and Pan. The one in the living room, the one in the entryway of the house is Pan and Aphrodite. So
I've got some things going on.
yeah. There's occasional spits. We'll just put it that way. Do you find it an important thing for you? You said that you end up connecting with folks as a random thing, at least in your eyes. But do you feel a need to connect with community, or are you connected to community?
Okay, well, when I say random, that's just like the typical word, because nothing's random.
Right.
All synchronistic.
That's why I did that.
I haven't found anything right now, right here, that is connectable.
Okay.
I'm trying to create something instead, because I feel this void right now. And normally I don't necessarily go out to seek traditional type pagan communities to interact with, because of the communities that I do interact with, they're pagan in a very interesting new way. Mm-hmm. Very pagan. It like crosses over with, some like heathen aspects, but it's not like, most people identify themselves as just spiritual seekers. They don't have a particular tradition. Some of them do have a particular tradition. Some people are still Christian, but we can all still come together and do the celebrations of life and community things, and especially through music and, a consistent beat, drum beat, heartbeat,
Right.
gain those same sort of experiences. Now, what I did do was I lived here for like a year and a half, and I eventually reached out and started doing a witchy mixer at my home. I only put on 2 of them. Things started getting in the way, and so then it was like, well, you've already met who you're supposed to meet from doing this. Okay. So I stopped doing that. I usually connect with people online, and I've had to do that a lot, so I'm just used to it, because there's not many people in person that can connect to you on those levels. And then, especially because I started so young, it seems like I'm a little bit more advanced than some other people. Yeah. And so it's just really difficult to find peers, and everybody's, not advertising who and what they are all the time. So it's like, I just kind of have to wait for certain synchronistic connections that are important enough for the spirits to go, bam, here you guys go together.
Right.
Even when I was in Colorado, there was a bunch of groups around, but I never really felt called to interact with them. I was involved with a few smaller things, like personal groups.
Yeah.
Where there's just a few people involved. The one thing that I did really enjoy, there was this organization called Rhythm Sanctuary in Colorado, and they had mixed trance dance with ecstatic dance, and this woman was like a burning man.
Okay,
experienced burner.
Okay.
She was leading the group as if it were pagan, but it was just more like new pagan. It was beautiful. Like, I went to this one event, it was the solstice event.
That's awesome.
And she had us like, there was like a procession, and we were asked to wear either all black or all white, whichever we connected with. There's this big procession. She said her things in the beginning and then explained what we were going to do before the dance started.
Right.
And so she separated us.
Okay.
And so she had all the people in white on one half of the room and all the people in black on the other half of the room.
Yeah.
And then she led us through this exercise where we were to look at the other people on the other side of the room and look deeply into them as we were all walking towards each other to mix up. And it was like this beautiful,
that's amazing,
blending ritual to reconcile, the light and the dark.
That's
the yin
amazing.
And the yang. It was
that is
awesome.
Amazing. That is so cool.
And so she's like really someone that I looked up to. I didn't really feel called to interact with her personally a lot. I didn't feel called to get involved with the group as a follower. Yeah. I had my own stuff going on.
Right.
Plus I had a lot of like growing to do because I was a mess. But this was like a shining light, and I happened to be at a certain events that happened that really, really touched me deeply. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great the way she, just so naturally and easily just kind of slipped all this pagan stuff and this, metaphysical stuff and mixed it with the ecstatic dancing. And
that sounds like a very amazing experience, and that's very cool. You said there's some stuff you're trying to do. What are you trying to organize? What are you trying to manifest?
I want to do something like Rhythm Sanctuary. I really feel it's important to have something that a variety of different traditions and viewpoints can participate in that still supply
right
that sense of community connection, and even allow room for the secular aspects, because not everybody's psychic. They don't see what's going on. They might think we're loopy, and like I used to believe about the altars, it's just a psychological metaphor for what's supposed to be inside of you.
Right.
And this is all just hocus pocus, And so I really find that dancing together with a consistent beat that can help and train your brain and open up a sacred space for just higher self-realization and community realization and building bonds. You're doing something physical, especially if somebody's doing it where there's stuff to look at, there's stuff to hear, there's things to touch, there's a floor to be stomped, It really helps.
Right.
Open things up to be able to stomp. And if everybody's just standing around in sort of some ceremonial, pomp and circumstance.
Right.
It's you're pretending. If that's the only part that is, it's like, and in all of the fantasy depictions of, how pagans used to be when there was more.
Right.
We're in giant circles around fires. We're dancing. We're stomping. We're, There is some structure. There's the opening and the closing.
Right.
But what I found lacking with a lot of the pagan community is there's none of the in-between.
Okay.
You know, it's like they're recreating church, but outside. So I just want to, that's my project, is to infuse this more earthy, use your body sort of thing. It's not always has to be mental. And in fact, a lot of times we need a space where we can turn our mental off. And it's easier to do that if you have something to listen to, something to look at, and your body moving.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm into this aspect.
Well, and all of those things lead to openness to connect with things beyond you, which leads to being filled with spirit and connecting to the people around you if you allow that to.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Just like turn your little minds off.
Yeah.
Close your mouth and let your body do the thing.
Because when you take your brain out of the way, your body and brain are able to connect to the others around because you are no longer standing in the way through reason.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I fully get that.
So that's what I'm working towards in that regards. It's just something that I've been into for years now. So I figure that's probably the reason why I got moved here, is that I was supposed to do something.
Right. I look forward to enjoying your manifestation.
Yes. Thank you.
You will be keeping us updated on the manifestations of how that works out.
Yes, I will.
Good.
I will, because
I'll be happy to share the information with our viewers as well as I want to come.
Yes.
So, the last couple questions. What is the biggest piece of wisdom that you have learned through your journey so far? What do you think is the biggest lesson you've learned?
That is all me. It's all me. It's either all in my head, it's all my problem, or so like instead of gaslighting myself, lean in to what I am and how the spirits move through me. If I'm having a problem with someone, it's not them, it's me.
Okay.
It's either I'm interacting with them differently, so I'm forcing them through my quantum observership to reflect whatever back to me, or that's my cue that I shouldn't even be interacting with that person in the first place.
I understand about those.
I've also trusting the self, which is all me.
Yeah.
It's all me.
Yeah.
I need to trust myself. What I've learned is that you can't really do wrong when you're following the direction of the spirits that guide you. So don't convince yourself that you're crazy, or that you're hearing things, or that you're too little to do what they're asking of you. Because you're not too little, or they wouldn't be asking you.
That's a really big thing, is going, I'm not ready. Well, if you weren't actually ready, they wouldn't put the choice in front of your face.
Right?
What they're doing is trying to get you to understand and believe in yourself to where you can manifest and reflect your own glory.
Yes.
Ta-da! Okay. With that, we'll go with the last question. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, and I hope you come back.
Yay.
The last thing is, what piece of wisdom would you pass on to other folks who are just starting out their path, or even halfway through their path? Because you've been at this a while like I. We have a slightly different perspective because it's been a while. In retrospect.
I know what we already talked about.
Okay.
Just trust yourself, trust your senses. I see a lot of people asking for permission to do things that they shouldn't be asking permission to do.
Right.
We just have this problem with right or wrong in our heads, but it's really do it anyway, because if it's the wrong choice, you're going to know right away, and then you'll have your own experience for making that mistake, rather than, I still want to do it, but so-and-so says that I shouldn't, or whatever. Just do the thing. Because when Hekate started having me do candle magic, I got some really weird ideas in my head that she wanted me to do. That was not I did not have any formal training in any tradition.
Right.
I didn't even know where to go to look. So I just hopped on Google.
Right.
I use that as my oracle all the time.
Hey, it works for us.
And I ended up researching hoodoo. So I'm
Okay.
like, okay, there we go. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Okay, I got basic colors. I got some, things going on. But she kept making me pick out 3 candles at a time and tying them together.
Okay.
And doing them together. Ever since then, when I do stuff, the 3 is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm using a candle for let's say I'm using it to, when I do long distance energy work to help channel my energy work better, I'll use 1 candle for them.
Okay.
Just a 1 candle for them. But when I'm doing something for myself, she wants me to have a candle because I'm usually always removing and drawing something in. So it's like, this is the one for the banishing.
Yeah.
This is for what you want to draw in. And this is the one for me.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it'll always be like a group of 3 like that.
Huh.
And it just I'm not really doing anything to affect. I never personally do magic for I want to experience this. It's like I'm being told from my guides and my spirits and my deities that you really need to change this about yourself. And you're not doing a very good job just thinking about it or flopping around like a little,
Right.
on your own. So just structure it a little bit. I connect well with fire, and it's something to touch.
Right.
And it's the action, and if you're making a little petition, just don't be afraid to alter what's done traditionally, because stuff could have been mistranslated. Stuff works for one person, but not the other person. I really don't think these deities don't evolve and grow either. They do it too.
Yeah, right.
They evolve, they grow, they change. They are living forces. And if we are living and we grow and change, I'm absolutely certain the forces of nature, they're experiencing linearly with us and growing and changing. And so don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone or listen to that little niggly feeling in the back of your head.
Right.
Or, even if it's like before Santa Muerte came, I fell in love with images.
Okay.
I started acquiring clothes, and I'm not a skull person. I was never a skull person. I'd see these beautiful pictures. I'd be like, oh, that's gorgeous. And I ended up with like a skull t-shirt with, with the roses and everything. And how did I miss that? I'm like, oh, well, that's why the skulls are here. I even picked up a owl wallet out of the blue. And I'm like, is owls Hekate? I don't know if owls are Hekate. They're definitely Santa Muerte.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, so they'll give you those little signals, and then it'll build up, and you're not crazy. Just lean in.
All right. Lean in. So one of the things that popped in my head while you were talking about that, especially at the beginning, one of the things that stands in all of our ways is imposter syndrome. It can't be me. I can't do that. I could never do that. And it really started in my head when we were talking about they're not going to give you things that you can't actually handle to do. Right there, right again, it's imposter syndrome. With you telling yourself that you're not capable, you're not good enough, you're not able, you don't know enough. Well, if you don't know enough, learn. Change the situation so you are no longer in that feeling of devoid of something. Empower yourself. Accept the fact that, well, if I'm supposed to do this, let's do this now. I'll learn how to do it right this way, and next time I'll do it right.
Right? Because that has stopped me so much, especially because I'm so detail-oriented with all this Virgo going on.
Right.
Plus, I got Leo Ascendant and Leo Mercury.
Oh, boy.
And so I really want to be out there and stuff, and I know I can do it. And then the Virgo is like getting caught up on having to know how to do it right each and every time. Where's the instruction book? Yeah. Give me the instruction book. But there's no instruction book. really. There really isn't. There's
There
lots
isn't.
of books you could read. There's tons from as long as we could write. But that doesn't...
And that is exactly why we're doing these interviews. And it's kind of the basis for Tribe of Sovo, the coven that I run and live stream. Everybody does it differently. Nobody's doing it wrong.
No.
Everybody is doing it in the way that works for them. And as we build those ways, we pick, choose, steal, borrow, incorporate, remove the pieces that do not work as we build our forward path. And they're all just different bricks that we're putting down in front of us to walk across. And we're all doing that. Making it your own is ultimately the idea behind this shift, that manifestation of individuality while being a part of the collective.
Right.
Because you can be
get
both.
Lost in it.
Yes, it's not to disappear.
Right.
It's to stand out and be just as unique as everybody else, because we are. No one is above. No one is below. We are all equal. We are all the same. And by recognizing that, and at the same time celebrating our uniquenesses as contributions, not things that keep us apart,
right,
is really a big key.
Right. We need to bring our gifts to the community because we need each and every individual, because not any individual is all that.
Exactly.
But we're all that. You know?
Yes, exactly. I agree entirely. With that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much for coming down. This has been amazing and wonderful. I've had a great time. Thank you so much. I can't say how much I've enjoyed.
I'm so honored that I got to come here and be with you for this. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you very much for watching our time together. I'm sure we'll have more conversations like this. And I hope you have an amazing day. May you be blessed by the Lord and Lady and whatever spirits you work with. So mote it be. Peace.